The CoinDesk Spotlight is brought to you by Nexo, the place to earn on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more.
Decentralized finance is coming to the ballot in the state of Oregon. Yearn developer Matt West is running for Congress on a pro-crypto platform as a Democrat. Please give a warm welcome to Matt West, candidate for Oregon's 6th U.S. House District. Hello there, Matt. So you say that you're the first DeFi candidate to run for Congress. Why do we need a DeFi candidate for Congress? What do you bring to the people's table?
Thank you. That's a great question.
You're on mute, Matt.
Am I?
Oh. Okay, never mind.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Starting over. Hi, thank you. I think that's a really great question. Part of the issues that led to DeFi being popularized in the first place is the fact that people want to have access to their own money and control their own funds. As mentioned on one of the previous segments, people talk about banking the unbanked and serving those who have previously been unable to have access to these financial institutions. When it comes to DeFi, that's very similar in terms of what we deal with. When you look at the traditional markets and the traditional banks, a lot of people have been locked out of those opportunities. They're not able to use the same tools and strategies that the big bankers have been able to do for decades. And DeFi really does help to even that playing field, as it were. So I believe that's what DeFi helps to bring to the table, and which is why it aligns with my core values as a Democrat in terms of empowering people to live their best lives.
So Matt, let's just be real here for a second. You know, with so much going on in this country, I mean, COVID is just one of many things. Like, is there anybody really voting based on DeFi? Like, is this really like the primary issue for any voter anywhere? I mean, let's just honestly, like, it's hard for me to imagine, but maybe they're out there.
That is absolutely correct, I think. DeFi and just cryptocurrency is one aspect of my platform. I've been involved in cryptocurrency since Bitcoin was released in 2009. I mined originally on one of my old computers, lost that hard drive, unfortunately, like so many people have the exact same story. Got back into Bitcoin mining in 2013 with a Butterfly Labs Jalapeno ASIC, which really dates me in that case, for those who know what that is. My other parts of the platform are more akin to my other background. For example, I have a PhD in chemical engineering. I did my research in grad school on renewable energy, fuel cells, green climate change, stuff like that. And I spent the last 7 years working at Intel, where I've been helping to develop the microprocessors and the development manufacturing process for those new products. So my platform is pretty broad. It's not just DeFi. I think that with all of the information that we're dealing with right now, with climate change and the West Coast being on fire constantly, in Portland we had a heat dome of 116 degrees. Inside my apartment got to 94 degrees, and that is with an air conditioner. It just wasn't strong enough to help handle that sort of heat load. And when we're dealing with the pandemic and vaccines, like you mentioned, my platform comes at it from an angle of science and fact, and trying to bring that sort of rationality of my scientific background to Congress, where I think we really are lacking a lot of that scientific knowledge. A lot of these people who are making decisions based on, making decisions for science don't necessarily have all the understanding and all the tools to help them understand those things, which is similar to how people in Congress have been approaching Bitcoin and DeFi and blockchain in general, as we've seen with the infrastructure plan. If you want to read my full platform, it's on my website, mattwestforcongress.com. You can take a look there, and it goes into lots of various things that I just talked about.
So, Matt, first off, I don't think you want to admit too much about missing that hard drive. I mean, that could just be used against you in a campaign, that you lost millions of dollars. What's next? But the other thing is, you're running as a Democrat, and your election is in 2022. So you're probably most likely going to miss the vote on these stimulus bills, the stimuli, the trillions of dollars that are going to be spent. We have a situation right now in the economy where we have more job openings than we have people looking for work. So would you vote for this kind of stimulus, first of all? Second of all, wouldn't that create basically a massive amount of inflation, which you as a crypto holder might benefit? Aren't you somewhat incentivized to debase the currency by all this massive spending?
Okay. I hear where you're coming from with those concerns. Inflation is a real issue that we're seeing over the last couple of years, particularly with the last year. Historically, inflation has not really been too much of an issue in this country for a long time, and now we're suddenly seeing it become real. That being said, there's something to be said for stimulus in general, not just in terms of stimulating the big banks and big industries, but also giving those checks to individual people who really did need the help when they were essentially locked at home and forced to not be able to go out and work. So I do believe that the stimulus plan is inherently necessary. A stimulus is not a bad thing in of itself, and it's not necessarily a boogeyman. It's how that money is allocated, how it's spent, and whether it's spent wisely. Taking out money in loans to help, say, build a company and build a business can be seen as a net positive, whereas taking out loans to go buy yourself a fancy Lambo might be seen as a not useful use of funds. So I do hear you, and I do think that inflation is going to be a real problem as we get into the next year or two. I just don't think that there is necessarily a way around that doesn't hurt the individual people who are needing access to healthcare, needing access to getting a check to help keep their mortgage afloat. It's a problem, and it's something that we're going to have to deal with.
Just quickly, so recently the crypto community has become a lot more political, largely thanks to the infrastructure bill debate in Washington. Given that you are positioning yourself as a DeFi candidate, are you expecting to receive political donations from the crypto community?
That's a great question. I would like to hope the answer to that is yes. I have been interesting to see watching the crypto community become more politically active. A lot of people started talking about running for office, running for Congress. I don't think a lot of people realize how long that road is. I was already in the process of building my campaign once I started seeing people on Twitter start talking about the infrastructure bill and start talking about how we needed to get involved and politically active. And I kind of had to sit on my hands and not tweet anything about it in order to keep the secret due to a bunch of different reasons, including regulations. I would like to think that the crypto community would donate. The issues that we're facing right now is kind of mission critical as we're looking at it. With the infrastructure bill that came out and all the debating and all the issues, I would like to say that my Senator Ron Wyden did a great job with coming out with that compromise amendment. But as we saw, there were still plenty of people in Congress who didn't understand what crypto was, talking about banning proof of stake and other things in ways that clearly anyone who understands blockchain and cryptocurrency thought were nonsensical. In that terms, raising money via cryptocurrency has been a big aspect of my platform. I specifically launched the crypto community on the first day that we got the access to the BitPay link for donations on our website, because I wanted to make that pitch to the crypto community saying that I take you guys seriously. So yes, raising money via cryptocurrency is going to be a huge thing.